All those brothers who are in the foyer, please come inside. All those brothers and sisters who are in the foyer, please come into the hall. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. I welcome one and all to this program. I extend a warm welcome to the viewers of ITV. We are live from Crosby, Johannesburg in South Africa, and even the viewers of SAHUC's YouTube. Alhamdulillah, this Friday evening, we are coming live from this Hajj Awareness Programme in Johannesburg. Before I do a warm welcome and extend a welcome, the best welcome that we can do is that I call upon Hafiz Zain Abrams to do a welcome from the Holy Quran. Hafiz Zain.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحج أشهر معلومات فمن فرض فيهن الحج فلا رفث ولا فسوق ولا جدال في الحج وما تفعلوا من خير يعلمه الله وتزودوا فإن خير الزاد التقوى واتقوا الله يا ليس عليكم جناح أن تبتغوا فضلا من ربكم فإذا أفضتم من عرفات فاذكروا الله عند المشعر الحرام واذكروه كما هداكم وإن كنتم من قبله لمن الضالين ثم أفيضوا من حيث أفاض الناس واستغفروا الله إن الله غفور رحيم فإذا قضيتم مناسككم فاذكروا الله كذكركم آباءكم أو أشد ذكرا ومن الناس من يقول ربنا آتنا في الدنيا وما له في الآخرة من خلاق ومنهم من يقول ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة أولئك لهم نصيب من النار صدق الله مولانا العظيم.
ما شاء الله. Alhamdulillah. Al-Hajj ashhurum ma'lumat. We know the months of Hajj. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has informed us. فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ الْحَجَّ فَلَا رَفَثَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. And on whom Hajj is farad, you're going to prepare for Hajj. And when you go for Hajj, فَلَا رَفَثَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. Let there be no arguments, let there be no wrangling, let there be no fights, backbiting, no arguments. وَمَا تَفْعَلُوا مِنْ خَيْرٍ يَعْلَمْهُ اللَّهُ فَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّاتِ التَّقْوَى. And all the provisions that you're going to take, which is the best provision, is taqwa. A warm welcome to all the Hujjaj from the South African Hajj and Umrah Council, the NGC, the board, the region. We welcome you one and all. We missed you also for the last 2 years. 2020, how many of us prepared to go for Hajj? And 2020, how many, some of the aunties prepared their abayas, that when we come back, this is the abaya I'm going to wear. They've still kept it brand new. We ask Allah, out of His infinite mercy, so that Hujjaj can go back to the Baytullah al-Haram. They can visit Madinatul Munawwara, visit Makkatul Mukarramah. We make dua. Viewers of ITV, YouTube, we welcome you again. And this evening that we have is an evening of Hajj awareness. And I must say, at every road show I've said this, that when I stand in front of the Hujjaj, in front of my brothers and sisters, I find all my sisters with their books and with their pens, they're ready to note, to take down notes. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I'm going to call upon a person that needs no introduction. He is going to tell us about the accreditation process, Ministry of Hajj pricing and contracting with an operator, things that a Haji needs to know. He's going to give you this information. Thereafter, if there's any questions, we will take questions also. I call upon Brother Shaheen Essop, who is the President of South African Hajj and Umrah Council, who will address us on this process. Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let's start again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Hujjaj, we're going for Hajj. Start loosening your voices. Talbiyah is required in a loud, audible voice, not in a quiet voice, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan to Qari, to Hafiz Muhammad Zain, to the board and the National General Council of SAHUC for allowing me to grace you with my presence today, inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Respected Hujjaj, brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers in Islam. Wallahi, it is indeed an honor to be addressing you here today in preparation for this auspicious journey of Hajj. My heart is so filled with joy that the emotion sometimes overwhelms me, in the sense that for 2 years we had drought. For 2 years, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted us a test to see what type of taqwa we are going to have when we embark on this mission and this journey for Hajj, inshallah. How pleased must we be as people from the southernmost tip of Africa, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed 1,132 pilgrims to grace the plains of Arafah, the Mashayir of Mina, the Baytullah, and the presence in front of our qabr of our beloved Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. 1 million pilgrims will embark on this journey this year, out of normal 2.5 to almost 3 million people. Whatever the decisions are from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, whether they are right, whether they are wrong, is not ours to judge or to determine. Ours is to be pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and may Allah be pleased with us, all of us that have made the intention and have been accredited, alhamdulillah. Those that are still to be accredited, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy and grant you that accreditation, whether it be in this year, whether it be in future years. Allahu alam, Allah knows best. Most important, I think, at the onset, is to make dua for the Hujjaj, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants the Hujjaj a Hajj Maqbool, Hajj Mabrur, in terms of making sure that we beg of them for their duas. We beg of them for the duas for the community of South Africa, for the community of the world, because inshallah we make dua that Allah will accept their duas and try to bring the Muslim Ummah out of the disarray that it currently is in at the moment. we find ourselves united under this labbaik, Allahumma labbaik. Labbaik la sharika laka labbaik. Inna alhamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. That is the unification in terms of what we are here for today, inshallah. Again, at the outset, let me state that it is SAHUC's desire for every single applicant, and at this particular point in time, first-time applicants on the SAHUC system runs into almost 80,000 people. Now, that doesn't mean it's for this year only. It means it's over a period of time. But if their capacity allowed for us to all go for Hajj, then surely we would all go for Hajj. The unfortunate thing is that the area of Mina has not changed from the time of Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam until today. It is 1.86 square kilometers in its size, in its area, and as a result of that, in 1986, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia requested from the OIC, the Organization of Islamic Countries, to work out a ratio of quota for every country around the world. Lots of social media going around at the moment. SAHUC is responsible for this and not responsible for that, etc., etc. But let us understand something. We are not responsible for the quota. The quota is determined not for Muslim countries, but for every country around the world, and is based on 1,000 pilgrims per 1 million Muslims in that country. We need to appreciate and understand this, especially if we've been for Umrah or if we visited the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and were able to go to the area of Mina. If you just sit back for 1 second and ask yourself, if 1.6 billion Muslims in the world were to determine that they were going to go for Hajj, 50% of those need to be baligh, so 800 million. If 50% of those were by the means, 400 million. If 10% of that 400 million decided we want to go for Hajj this year, do we think the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia would be able to accommodate that? We see in past years, 2.5, 3 million. There's always a premium for space on Mina. There's always a premium for space on Arafah. And as a result of which, we find ourselves at a loss if 40 million people decide to embark on this journey. So therefore, people, let us put it into perspective and understand how this ratio comes into effect and who determines this ratio. Every country around the world is a recipient of a quota. And that, as I said, is based on 1,000 pilgrims per 1 million Muslims in that particular country. Quite a lot has changed in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia over the last 2 years. We see that there is a tremendous amount of privatization that has crept into the country. And that is from a Hajj logistics point of view. That said, we must also be cognizant of the ever-increasing input costs that plague our movement to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia by way of fuel costs and other input costs for food and various other factors that affect it. Developments in the Middle East of recent months are the economic issues due to significant increase in the price of crude oil, knock-on effect from a point of services, fuel costs from the transportation of goods and the transportation of food, and the closure of many services in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia due to Saudization. Some of my colleagues had traveled to Saudi Arabia in the month of March, and they will tell you that they were flabbergasted. When you walk into the Taiba Center on a Friday after Jumu'ah, I remember that you couldn't move in there. It was like an ant's nest. And pictures that were sent to us from Saudi in March show that almost 2/3 of that particular retail center is closed down. Now, what is the reason for that? Saudization. People of non-Saudi citizenship have been moved out. Their shops have been closed. Restaurants have been closed. So the difficulty in finding food in the central area is a reality. Hence, you find in the packages that are being offered, there are 2 meals being offered, or half board as they call it on their packages. And it's for this reason that the ministry and the Muassasa had made it clear that all operators must offer half board because of the difficulty of finding food in the central areas in Medina. In Makkah, it's a lot easier, but not as easy as it used to be before, and the costs are quite exorbitant. We all know that SAHUC is supported by the government of South Africa, the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. SAHUC was formed by them back in 1995. And as much as we are an NGO and we don't form part of government, or we are not a government department or subsidiary, we manage the Hajj on behalf of the government of South Africa in that particular way. We work very closely with our consulate on all the matters relating to Hajj, and we are not a diplomatic mission in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It is very important for people to understand that, but all in all, you are in good hands for the duration of your stay in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. With that backdrop in mind, let's talk about where we are at the moment. We've seen a lot of questions on our, email system, Fresh Desk, and a lot of people have said, why haven't you allowed people from 2019 or 2020 who were accredited to be re-accredited? Let's just put something into perspective. Date and time priority is key to the process, fairness, transparency, and equitability of the system. If we have myself as an applicant, I'm using a hypothetical case. I apply in 2011 or 2012, and my Hajj year was going to be 2020. But circumstances did not allow me to travel in 2020. Either I didn't get leave, or I didn't have enough money, and I transferred my application forward, or I deferred, as it is known as. And then comes the list. 6 lists later, an applicant, August 2015, gets accredited. Now you've got to ask yourself the question, Hajj closes, pandemic hits us, COVID hits us, nobody goes for Hajj. Is it fair to the 2012 applicant to give the 2015 applicant accreditation, or do we follow the process to make sure there is fairness and equitability and transparency? We cannot go and say, you didn't go because you were given the first option, I was accredited, hence I must go. That's not how the system works. We must always want for others what we yearn for ourselves. And if that is the process on date and time priority, we need to fulfill our amana, and our understanding of what that process is. And therefore, some people are aggrieved, others unfortunately need to be understanding about the way the process is done. The accreditation process has rolled out. We didn't wait until the closure, which is on Sunday coming now, to roll out more lists, because we were very concerned about the short period of time. And alhamdulillah, we have had 3 accreditation lists that have gone out into the public domain, and the last, which will close on Sunday, after which, inshallah, we will start with the ready-to-go list. So people who are on the ready-to-go list on a date and time priority will then be looked at for an accreditation, because those are people who at a drop of a hat said, we are ready to go. And those are the people that must fulfill that amana, so that we can help the agents to speed up their process in terms of administration, in order to make sure that the people can leave South Africa at the appointed departure dates, inshallah. What is the responsibility of the Haji when he or she gets accredited? Is to accept accreditation or defer it as soon as possible. Once accepted, pay the fee so that you can link with your operator, and then go and do the necessary contracting with the operator. We understand that the costs that have recently been sent out regarding the ministry costs are quite exorbitant. It's a shock not only to you, but to us as well. If I go back to 2020, the costs that we were given for the camps at that time was 2,500 riyals. This is more than doubled. But there is a 16-page document that basically outlines the services that are included. And as I mentioned earlier, there is privatization in the Hajj process and administration in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So naturally, you're going to find an increase in costs, which is not justifiable by any means. Unfortunately, SAHUC did not have the opportunity to sit across the table with the Muassasa to negotiate this further, because we were not called to the kingdom for a meeting to have the necessary logistics discussed in terms of this process. There are additional costs that have crept in as well, which we'll cover a little bit later. Important is, once you've made your choice of operator, read their packages, understand their packages, make sure you are comfortable with their packages. And once you've done that, ask for a contract. And that contract must display everything that you have agreed upon with your Hajj operator in that particular way. And inshallah, once all of that is in place, then alhamdulillah sign the contract. But I plead with every single one of you here that have been accredited, that have accepted your accreditation, that are still to deal with your operator, do not sign blank contracts. Do not believe in the fact that we will fill in the documentation or the information later on. You know, today at Jumu'ah, I heard the Imam give a bayan, and he said, we must live like brothers and sisters, but we must deal as strangers. When you think about that everything should be written down, it is a sunnah of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Ultimately, Hajj is the pinnacle of our deen. And when we deal with the pinnacle of our deen, we need to follow the sunnahs and the sharia in the best possible way. Hafiz Muhammad Zain read the ayats from the Quran in terms of, how we need to behave and what we need to take with us for Hajj. But the preparation is here. The preparation is not in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia when you step onto the airport Mataf in Jeddah or in Medina. The preparation to fulfill your ibadah starts here with the way we conduct ourselves in terms of our contracting, in terms of our behavior, in terms of our attitude. And that inshallah will carry us through so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants us Hajj Maqbool wa Mabrur. Very interesting that I find, a social media clip the other day. Shaheen Isuf justifies the high exorbitant prices of Saudi Arabia, and he says we must, accept it as a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What type of fatwa is this? Wow. Have we lost the plot in terms of understanding who is the giver and taker of our rizq? Have we forgotten that everything that comes in this dunya is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Everything that happens, seen and unseen, is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no justification in exorbitant prices. But we need to sit back, reflect, understand. And if we spend with the right niyyah, believe me, there's no looking back in terms of what, not the repayment, but the reward is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah grant every single one of us that understanding to go back to the teachings of where we were in madrasa, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had instilled in our hearts the love for His Nabi and for His deen, inshallah. We have to make sure that when we sign a contract, the accommodation in Makkah, Medina and Azizia is stipulated. Ensure that we have our flight information to and from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on a round trip. Some of us that are flying out of the country or maybe doing a side trip to Jerusalem, we need to be very, very clear about this. Some operators may have what they call split airlines. And in split airlines, your baggage facility is different. You may have 2 bags of 23 kilos on Emirates or Qatar or Ethiopian Airlines, but if you're flying a low-cost airline from Jeddah to Amman in Jordan, and then you're going to go by bus to Jerusalem, you may have a problem with extra luggage. So you need to ask all these questions if you're going to do a side trip. You need to ask all these questions if you are going to be coming in on one flight, going out from Jeddah on Saudi Airlines to Dubai, and then flying from Dubai to Johannesburg on Emirates Airways. You've got a split ticket, and that split ticket could be at your detriment if you don't understand the rules of the baggage, if you don't understand the rules of carrier to the hilt. It's your duty and your responsibility as the accredited pilgrim to ask these questions of your operator before you sign your contract. Remember, we could give the operators a quota. They could go and sell it to whomever they want. But you are the people with power because you have been given the quota. You have been given that visa, the right to that visa. Nobody else has been given it. You must sit down and talk to the operator and make sure you understand that contract. Make sure you understand that offering. And make sure you accept the offering from the operator. I'm not saying they're bad people. Please don't misunderstand me. There are good operators out here. In the past, we worked very, very well with the 20 operators that there were. It's unfortunate we are down to 4, and it doesn't give you much of a choice in terms of selection. But that is no doing of SAHUCs. That's a doing of people outside, and we're not going to get into a discussion around that. Also very important to check with the operator that he or she has achieved the minimum number of 50 pilgrims. That's a ruling from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia that every Hajj operator must have a minimum number of 50 before they are eligible to operate. If they don't have the minimum number of 50, then unfortunately they will not operate for that year, and all the pilgrims under that operator's portal will have to be moved to another operator, inshallah. Our head of mission, Hafiz Ismail Kulvadia, will lead us into discussion in the process of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And our medical representative will lead you through some of the medical requirements, the do's and don'ts regarding keeping yourself in good health. There's one rule that we have in SAHUC, one rule and one rule only. Hydration, hydration, hydration. People, please, I cannot implore on you more than I'm imploring on you now. Having been on Hajj missions before, if people don't hydrate, they find themselves in hospital. You cannot fulfill the rights of Hajj. You cannot enjoy what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted to you if you fail to hydrate accordingly. Shoes, very important to have comfortable shoes. Ladies, no high heels. Leave the high heels for the fashion show back home. When you go there, the most comfortable, oldest tackies that you can wear, because you're going to walk like crazy. Learn to sit on the floor for long periods of time and make sure that you are able to walk. Gents, the same with you. Comfortable sandals. And there's one thing that we must try and get away from, guys. Let us not start a debate on the Hajj sandal. What is halal, what is haram, what is permissible, what is non-permissible. Go according to what you have learnt and follow what you have learnt. You're going to get a lot of people in the kingdom that's going to come and try and confuse you. You're going to see a lot of different nationalities doing different things. Remember what you have learned in your Hajj class or from your alim or your spiritual leader. And that is what you should follow and what you should fulfill. Some pertinent advices for those that have not traveled out of the country before. If you're on chronic medication, make sure you carry a letter from your doctor for the meds in your possession. Also carry any insulin that may be required with you, as none of it is available in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Adhere to the security rules at the airports. No bottles in hand luggage more than 100 mils in size. And if people want to give you a bottle of water or cold drinks more than 100 mils, rather say to them, give me the $20, I'll buy it on the inside after I go through immigration. That way it's not going to be confiscated at security and money will be lost rather than anything else. This is very important now, the next point, people. People may think I'm funny when I say this. I've said this before on many roadshow or Hajj Awareness Day. Do not carry narcotics into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Drug trafficking carries the death penalty. SAHUC is not there to defend you. We are not going to come to your aid if you carry a forbidden substance into Saudi Arabia. Please understand that. You are going for Hajj. Your niyyah is Hajj. Your niyyah is not anything else. Your niyyah is not the political surroundings and problems in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Whether they allow Justin Bieber to come to Jeddah and perform in a concert, that's not your problem. Your worry is your Hajj. Hajj is between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let the governments deal with that. Let our ulama deal with that, where they could write to them and tell them that we are dissatisfied with those things. But that is not your responsibility as a pilgrim. If you are jailed in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, there are serious implications for you. There are serious conditions that have to go through in order to get people out of jail. So please, I implore you, do not partake in any of these activities. Some years back, a group of Malaysians decided they were going to protest in Medina after one of the salahs on the Mataf area outside. They were all locked up and they were exported out of the country. They were kicked out, extradited. Nobody performed Hajj. So can you imagine the embarrassment, first of all? Can you imagine, secondly, you've paid all this money and you've lost all this money. There's no claim back from an operator. There's no claim back from anybody if you partake in these undue activities. When you're carrying documentation, carry yours and your spouse's passports with and visas with you, and copies as well. Swap them over. You carry hers, she carries yours. In your check-in luggage and in your hand luggage, put some items of clothing, on either side. Bags, unfortunately, have gone missing in the past. We're not saying that they will continue going missing, but the likelihood of something going wrong or something happening pear-shaped and you're getting your bags 2 to 3 days later is a reality. I mean, my colleague on the left here suffered that problem in March 2 months ago, so we speak from experience in that regard. Carry only the amount of cash that you will need. There are ATMs in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Makkah, Medina, Azizia, that will allow you to use the South African ATM card. Your Standard Bank, ABSA, FNB, those cards work very well. If it's MasterCard or Visa cards, they operate there as long as you've got sufficient funds in your account so that you can have the exchange rate crossover in that particular regard. I have found, I'm in the financial markets business, I have found that when you try to draw money or cash money here and swap it into dollars or into reals, you end up paying a little bit more. If you have money loaded on a wallet or you have money in your card and you draw on that side, sometimes it actually works out at least 5 to 7% cheaper when you're drawing money on that side. So it's worth your while to look at that situation and draw when it is needed. It's also safer that way. That way you don't have to carry in a lot of money around with you. Unfortunately, pickpockets and everything else goes without saying throughout the world. And there are always people that are looking for opportunities to take advantage of people in every situation possible. If you're carrying money out of the country, make sure you have the necessary documentation from the bank before you leave OR Tambo International. Security there will ask you if you have large sums of money, they may pull you aside, and any delay there could also result in you missing your flight. Now, if you miss your flight, the operator can't guarantee that they can get you on another flight. That is your responsibility and your fault. You will have to suffer the consequences in that particular regard. So please be cautious and make sure that you carry the necessary paperwork with you in that regard. Upon arrival in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, either at Jeddah or Medina airports, you'll be welcomed by members of the SAHUC Hajj mission team who are there to facilitate your smooth transition and movement from the airport terminal to your destination. The Muassasa will take your passport from this time, and the only time you see it again is when you return, inshallah. The SAHUC Hajj mission will be based in Jeddah, Medina, Makkah, and Azizia, and clinics will be set up in those 3 centers as well. The location will be made known to your operators, and as soon as you arrive in the kingdom, the necessary notices will go up in your building to find out exactly where our clinic will be. Strict adherence to the requirements set out by the Ministry of Hajj, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the other affiliates must be observed. Example, as I said earlier, you are here to perform Hajj, concentrate on that, and do not engage in any politicized gatherings, etc. Please adhere to the pelting rules. This is something that we've always had to stress upon in the years gone by, and Hafiz Ismail will give some more elaboration on that. This will ensure your own safety and the safety of others as well. And ensure that you are acquainted with the manasik, which are the procedures of Hajj, that you have learnt the necessary arkans of the Hajj in order for you to have a pleasant journey of a lifetime, inshallah. Remember, your Hajj operator sees to your logistics. Hajj is between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a once in a lifetime experience. So make the most of it with no regrets, inshallah. It's our sincere dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants every single one of the accredited Hujjaj a Hajj Maqbool wa Mabroor, inshallah. The SAHUC team will be available to answer any questions that you may have relating to Hajj and Hajj preparations. But I have to thank you and thank the viewers of ITV and also our YouTube channel for watching and for paying attention to what has been carried out here this evening. I'm going to hand back over to our program director so that we can move on with the program. But before we do that, on the 8th of May, SAHUC shared with everybody on social media the vaccination requirements. Yesterday, alhamdulillah, we started our procedures with the Hajj mission visas because we go in earlier than the Hujjaj. And the most important thing, the first thing that you are asked for is a copy of your vaccination certificate. Not the vaccination card, the vaccination certificate with a QR code. Whether you've had the Johnson & Johnson vac or the Pfizer vac, the BioNTech, the Moderna, the AstraZeneca, the Covovax, and the Sinopharm. There's a list of those vaccinations. Some are required in 2 doses and others in 1 dose. J&J is 1 dose. please make sure that you take those vaccinations so that your operator can upload those vaccination certificates into the system. Yellow fever and meningitis vaccinations are still a requirement. We've had a tremendous amount of inquiries whether they have fallen away. They have not fallen away. If your yellow card is expired in terms of its yellow fever or meningitis, you need to get another vaccination for that. Please make sure that you do that. I think we do have a doctor that's joined us in the auditorium. People can go and speak to the doctor if they need anything else. A PCR certificate is required. A negative PCR certificate is required. No more than 72 hours old prior to your departure. Now, had so many questions about this. What happens if I test positive? I've paid all my money. Hence, I said earlier, read your contract. Make sure you read the fine print in your contract. Have the conversation with your Hajj operator. What is refundable? What is not refundable? Remember, you're going into Medina first. If you go in, you do your 72 hours vaccination, and in 3 days' time, you're leaving. Your operator has already booked a period of 8 days for you in Medina. That cannot be moved by 2 weeks. That 8 days, if he can't find another pilgrim to put into that 8-day period, that money is lost. Medina hotels do not refund accommodation that is not fulfilled. Please speak to your operator, clarify that, and make sure we understand that process. SAHUC has nothing to do with your contract between you and the Hajj operator. All SAHUC can do is make sure that you've signed the correct contract and the contract's got all the details. Once you've done that, the operator uploads that contract onto the system. And the reason for that is, when we're in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and there are any disputes, we call on our system, we look at the contract, and we adjudicate the dispute between the operator and the Hujjaj. That is the purpose of why we want you to make sure you cross the T's, you dot the I's, and you do what is necessary in terms of that contracting process, inshallah. I thank you once again. Jazakumullah khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah Shaheen for giving us an outline of the process of Hajj. Brothers, you look very, very tired to me, man. Hey, I must say to you, please let us read the Talbiyah aloud. Let's bring some, spiritual, or we should say, nur into this gathering. Please, let us read. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, innal hamda wan ni'mata laka wal mulk, la sharika lak. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, innal hamda wan ni'mata laka wal mulk, la sharika lak. Jazakallah. You can see it. The prep is there still there. For 2 years you kept all that. So inshallah al-Aziz, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy. We're going to have some time for questions. Please, we have a sister that is amongst the ladies, amongst the sisters. We have a brother who's around. Please, let's raise your fingers if anybody has a question for Shaheen or anything particular, just a clarity also on what Shaheen has said. It is very important for us to have a beautiful, a memorable Hajj. Either you're going to have a Hajj where you're going to say, I know of somebody that came from Hajj many years ago, and they said, no, man, you know what? I have to go back for Hajj. I think in my Hajj, I had a lot of problems. I had a lot of arguments. I did this, I did that. Sorry. This is an opportunity that we have. It is up to us how we want to conduct ourselves, how we want to go for Hajj. It is up to us. So is there any sister that has a question? Please raise your hand. Any brother? Please. Or, if not, sisters, write it down, send it to the front. You can remain anonymous, don't worry. Where's the brother's hand? Please, my brother, Mike, there.
I'll hold the mic. You just speak. You can stand. No, it's fine. Assalamu alaikum. It may be a difficult question. Hello? Okay. I don't know if it may be a bit difficult to answer for you guys. With the Hajj fees that have gone up quite drastically this year, what's your guys' feeling in terms of years to come? So, for example, next year, is there any anticipation that it may come down, or do you think this is now the new benchmark that's been set, and we're probably looking at these type of fees going forward? What's the feel on that?
Are you talking about the 5 days of Hajj? Yes. The question is, the fees that are being charged, it's approximately 5,000, close to 6,000 riyals. Is it going to be the benchmark for every year, or what is it, Shaheen? Please.
Jazakallah. I think it's a fair question. Unfortunately, I can't give you the answer because I don't have a crystal ball that I can look into. But if one looks at the costs of goods, input costs, not only in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but worldwide, the war that you're currently seeing in the Ukraine and Russia, it all adds up and it all contributes. And that is probably why we've had delays in the receipt of those prices this year. But I think I'd be amiss to say that yes, it is a benchmark, or no, it's not. Let us rather go and speak to the authorities in the kingdom and engage them and come back and give you a more informed answer. But on the back of that, a few days ago, I had a call from somebody in Australia, and they were told that their 5-day camp fee is 12,000 riyals. Today, I learned from one of our counterparts in the United Kingdom that they were told by their muassasa that the camp fees are 18,000 riyals. So you need to understand where this seems to be going, and as mentioned earlier in my introduction, privatization seems to have jumped into the equation in a big way. And as a result of that privatization, there seems to be a massive increase in costs because of companies that are taking charge of the process and not the ministry and its affiliates in that regard. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah. We have a sister who says, can medication with codeine be carried from South Africa?
Dr. Razia, medication with codeine, can we take it in? Provided there's a script. Just press the button. It's on.
Assalamu alaikum. Gee, Mr. Asab, if they have a script and a limited period only, not maximum because the authorities will then seize it. So probably because a codeine medication is generally taken as needed, so they should be taking a big supply, please.
So if you do take codeine, or if you do take a medicine with codeine, it must only be for that particular period that you are going to be in the kingdom.
That's correct.
And not excessive volume of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
For example, if you take an Edcadol and it has codeine in it, you can't take, if you're going for 6 weeks and it's 42 days, you can't take 500. Take for the 42 days. Another question.
1 second, Kari. Please, as I stipulated earlier, you must carry a letter from your doctor authorizing you to carry that medicine with codeine for that particular period of time. Jazakallah.
You say no large sum of money. How much is regarded as large to carry? For the sisters, any amount is not enough. Please.
You know, when I was growing up, one of the things that the Imam in our area always said is, he said that we work on 5 arkans of Islam, but the 6th arkan is shopping in Saudi Arabia. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept, inshallah. Large sums of money, you know, in terms of what you're allowed to carry out, your prescribed allowance to take out of the country is R1 million per year. It doesn't mean you must take R1 million in hard currency out of the country. Because if you do that, you're going to fall under some severe scrutiny at the airport. We had a guy a few years ago who walked out with about 45,000 rand in his bag. And he was unduly delayed as a result of that. And not only unduly delayed, but unfortunately, some of the security officials at the airport tried to solicit a bribe from him. We intervened, and alhamdulillah, he was not harmed in any way, and he went through making sure that he could still board his flight timeously. But please, let's be reasonable. What do you think you need to carry? If you're carrying $1,000 with you, you know, that's 3,750 riyals. For a few days while you're in the kingdom, acquainting yourself, getting yourself sorted out, should be sufficient. As long as you've got the bank letter that you're allowed to carry $1,000 with you, nobody's going to interfere with you in that regard. Secondly, when you get there, as I said, you use your ATM cards and withdraw as and when is necessary, inshallah.
The other question, it says that if we defer accreditation this year, will we be able to go for Hajj next year?
So a lot of people ask that question. Remember, you can never guarantee anybody accreditation in the future years. Look at what happened in 2020. We were given 3,500 visas. Look where we are today. We've got 1,132 visas. We can't foretell the future. We're hoping, inshallah, as we move away from COVID, that they will increase the quota in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for each country. And that way, if you are an early applicant, meaning 2013, 2014, there should be no reason why you can't be accredited with a reasonable quota. But we do not guarantee accreditation in the ensuing year.
Jazakallah. Mask is compulsory for the 5 days of Hajj. Can a shield be worn instead?
Masks are compulsory everywhere you go during Hajj. That's according to what the Ministry of Health had basically given us a note, and that's part of what we publicized when we put out the vaccination information. I'm sure that if you wear a shield, there should be nothing wrong with that. A lot of people will turn around and say, you know, we just came back from Ramadan Umrah, 2 million people on the 27th night, hardly anybody wore masks. Wallahi, it's up to you. It's your decision. You know, nobody's going to tell you you can't make Hajj because you're not wearing a mask. But remember, if you pick up COVID or you pick up any other illness, it's your doing. It's nobody else's doing. And it's the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Jazakallah. So let's just clarify regarding the shield. Just now, tomorrow morning, before you go to bed tonight, or tomorrow morning, you're going to hear Mufti Shaheen Esab of SAHUC has said that you can wear a shield. Please follow whatever your Mufti and your Alim that you follow advises you also. We don't want to get into that argument, because one Maulana will say something to you and you are dear and near to him, you follow the Alim that gives you advice. There is a question, it says, is it necessary to take the booster if vaccine is older than 6 months?
You've taken both vaccinations of the Pfizer. Nothing wrong in taking the booster. Don't worry, Bill Gates is not coming to visit you at night. If he does, he's probably going to give you some investment advice, which will be a good thing. I've done my 2 vaccinations, and alhamdulillah, a month and a half ago, I did the booster as well. Wow, I'm still healthy, alhamdulillah. So take it, there's nothing wrong with it. They don't ask for it when you are putting in a visa request. They ask for the 2 vaccinations, your first and your second. That's all they ask for.
Jazakallah, Shaheen, please. Oh, there's a question here, please. All right, while the brother is writing, is there another question? Yes, bhai, please go ahead.
I wanted to find out about flights. If an operator has flights for stipulated dates, let's say 19th, or your accommodation is 20th of June up until 15th of July, and you book your own personal flights through your airline that arrives a day early or 2 days early, what would happen in terms of when you arrive? Could you book your own accommodation for that night that you arrive early? That's the first question. And also, if you're flying out to another country and you might need a PCR test, is it possible to get a PCR test easily for travel purposes? when leaving Jeddah?
Okay, first question, to answer the first part of your question.
Yeah.
If you book your own flights, you have to book your flights within your coordinated arrival date, meaning your first night of accommodation in Medina or in Makkah if you're going to Makkah first. You cannot arrive a day earlier because your contract for arrival in the kingdom starts on the date that your accommodation starts. So if you are booking your own flights, that's what you need to do. The only thing you must remember as well is that you are responsible for your own flight. Sometimes the operator will have a group booking and the group will arrive. If you're arriving in Jeddah, for example, we have to send a team from Makkah to Jeddah for 2 people if you are 2 people arriving. That may not be the same time as the rest of the groups that are arriving or the same date that the rest of the groups are arriving. So if you're landing at, let's call it Hajj Terminal, and there's only 2 of you, it will be very difficult for us to find 2 people when there's 5,000 people landing per hour, if we don't know which gate you're going to be coming out of, etc. So hence it is always advisable, if you are flying on your own, fly into Medina. It is a smaller airport and it is easy to trace the pilgrim in that regard. But better, the first prize, travel with your groups. Come in with your group, move with your group, and leave with your group in that way. Your second part of the equation regarding PCR tests, I'm almost sure that there are clinics or facilities available to do PCRs in the kingdom. Unfortunately, I haven't been to the kingdom since COVID started, so I can't tell you where and how easily it will be for us to find them or to facilitate them. There's a question, Kari, before you go on YouTube. The question is asked is, when will Camp A prices be released? Unfortunately, we don't know. We have asked the Muassasa to release the additional services, camp pricing, and they haven't provided that to us as yet. On a daily basis, we are inquiring and we are asking. As soon as that information becomes available, your operator will then be able to inform you accordingly, inshallah.
Another question, Shaheen. Yeah. The distance of Camp D from the Jamarat?
You know, a lot of people have asked me this in the past. What's the difference between special services and non-special services? Now, I like to put it into a little bit of an understanding. When we were young, we used to go to the movies, spend a little money, you would watch a movie. When you grew older, you did something else, What is that telling you? The more closer you get to shaitan, the more money it costs you. Why do you want to be close to shaitan when you're going on Hajj? If Camp D is in the, again, Muassasa has not provided us with the exact place for Camp D. But if Camp D is in the same place that we have had our non-special services camp, it's approximately 2.5 to 2.8 kilometers away from the Jamarat. And believe me, people, it is a fantastic walk. Because the camaraderie, the khirs, the labbaik, the talbiyah, everything works together. The amount of haji buys and haji bends that you make on that trip is phenomenal. We as mission workers accompanying the groups to go up to the Jamarat actually see it and you feel that camaraderie with each other. Because that is what Hajj is all about. Hajj is not about, I'm that, I must stay in Camp A. I'm that, I must stay here close to the Jamarat. No, it doesn't work like that. We need to understand that we need to worry about the plight of our brother or sister. Whether there's an elderly person, if you're 25 years old, and this year an elderly will be under 65, by the way, because over 65 and above is not allowed. We're going to help one another. We're going to work with one another. We're going to make sure that the natural support is there. So the distance between the two is there. In the old days, Camp A used to be very close to the Jamarat, but coming out of the Jamarat, you go in one way, you come out another way. Used to take you almost 45 minutes to get back to your camp. And that is just normal walking. If you have a crowd of 2 million, 2.5 million, it could take you up to an hour and a half. Jazakallah.
The other question is, will you be allowed additional tawaf or only Hajj and Umrah tawaf?
As we know, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has opened up the top section of the mataf for nafil tawaf. That you can go and do. So if you're in the haram area, once you've completed your umrah, you come out of ihram and you go to the haram to go and perform your nafil tawaf. You're not going to be able to do it on the mataf downstairs. you're only going to be able to do it upstairs on the first floor, unless they change that ruling. But at this particular point in time, only people in ihram are allowed on the mataf next to the Kaaba. Everybody else doing a nafil tawaf will be upstairs on the first floor or the mezzanine levels. Jazakallah.
What happens if one contracts COVID few days before flying back home?
Wouldn't you love to stay in Saudi Arabia for a few more weeks? Alhamdulillah. I can't answer that because that is going to be for your own account. And that is one of the reasons why you find that the kingdom has basically put into your fees an insurance fee as well. Insurance of 109.25 riyals, that's part of medical insurance that will assist to either, evacuate you by airlifting or take care of whatever necessary expenses need to be taken care of in the kingdom. That's part of that whole process of additional 109 riyals and 25 halalas.
Jazakallah Shaheen. I'm sure that there may be other questions, but if you want to write your questions, you can send them in the front. We will answer the other questions also. There's two things. While Shaheen was talking, just came to mind. I had a visitor at my office a few months ago, and he walked in there, Assalamu alaikum, Kari Musa, wa alaikum salam, how are you, this, that? Did you take your vaccination? Did you take the COVID vaccine? I said, yes. And he says, you know what, Kari Sahab, I have to tell you, in 2 years you're going to be dead. I said, what? In 2 years, I'm going to be dead. Hold on, my brother. Open the cupboard and take out this. Please get up, open the cupboard. There's a kafan there. Take it out. See whose name is written. I am ready. There's nobody that have died before his time. Nobody will die after their time. If we have yaqeen in Allah, if we say amantu billah wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi wal yawmil akhir wa qadri khayrihi wa sharrihi min Allah ta'ala wal ba'athi ba'da al maut. That maut will come on its time, no matter where you are, in what condition you are. You can be the fittest person without any health issues, but when that time comes, you will go. I told a brother, I am ready. He said, hey, but 2 years' time you'll be finished. I said, inshallah, if that is the will of Allah. Conspiracy theories. We have many conspiracy theories. After Ramadan, I had a call from Mecca. A brother phoned me, Kari Musa, assalamu alaikum. I'm staying here by the Darut Tawheed, and I want to ask you a question. It's bugging me. He says, it's bugging me. I said, please go ahead, ask me the question. What you want to say? He says, Kari Sahab, you know what? You know how I'm itching to go and make tawaf on the mataf. But I've come with my ihram. Now I can't go into the haram in the mataf section. But there is one thing I can do. He says, can I just fake it? Just to put the ihram on, and then I want to just go there and make tawaf. I said, what does your heart say? What does your heart say? You are in Makkatul Mukarramah. You in the Holy Lands. What does your heart say? Shiraz says, no, Kari Sahab, I can't lie. I say, if that is your answer, go with it. You cannot fake. You can't do those things. They call it, what kind of lies they call it? Not a white lie. A white lie is something, if I don't like Shaheen, then, and Muaz knows, Muaz will tell Shaheen, you know what Kari Musa said? Hey, he loves you. Even if I don't love him, but Muaz will say, Kari Musa loves you. That's a white lie. What lie do we want to say when we go for Hajj and Umrah? Or do you want to pay the bribe to stand behind Imam Sheikh Abdul Rahman Sudaisi, and you want to read namaz behind him, but you're going to pay a bribe for somebody to keep that place for you for an hour or two, and when you arrive, then they give you that space. Is that what we want to go for Hajj for? Is that what our Umrah is all about? Absolutely not. May Allah give us the tawfiq. We beg Allah, we plead to Allah. Ya Allah, the ibadah that we are doing it for your pleasure. Let us do it in the way you and your Nabi have asked us to do it. Jazakallah. I'm going to call upon Sister Dr. Razia Bibi Khan Damat Barakatuhuma to come forward. She's our medical G. We can't, hold on. There's a mic.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
The Dame Shukr, they put it as part of the Hajj fee. Previously, the agents used to do it on behalf of the Hujjaj. Is it now the coupon system?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. It's not a coupon system. It is Adahi through the Adahi process in Mina. And the reason for that is studies have been taken over the years that have passed. And unfortunately, I'm not saying South African agents, but a lot of people have been fleeced by paying money for their Dame Shukr or their Hadiyah or Dahiyah, and it is not done. So in this way, they are ensuring that everybody's Udhiyah gets done and gets done in the appropriate way according to the manasik. That is what they've basically done and included. And that is a ruling that has come down from the Royal Diwan right through into the ministry and into the processes accordingly. Jazakallah.
Sister Razia is the medical lady, the doctor who goes with the mission, and she is going to talk about medical questions. There are sisters that may want to ask some questions, but you don't want us to hear. You can do that after the session. You can speak to Dr. Razia and you can ask her the questions that you want to. And at the same time, I'm sure with her wealth of experience of dealing with Hujjaj, especially the aunties with the high heels and the brothers that have bought those floor shimes when they want to come back and they have problems with. So I'm sure Dr. Razia is going to address some of the problems that the Hajis and Hajianis face. Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you all for coming on this cold Friday night. It's been a bit of a challenge for all of us not knowing where we all stand. I just want to tell all of you, please, understand that SAHUC is here as a governing body that wants you to have a beautiful trip. We're not out to make it impossible for anybody, and those that are on this team work really hard to put your trip through. I'm going to just talk on a few basic points as far as the medical part is concerned, which I have seen is very common over the past few years. Please understand, we are going from a cold climate into a very hot and dry climate. People must understand, and like how everybody else has said on the stage, your Hajj journey starts from South Africa. Before you even go onto the flight, before you even put your bag on. So when you get down to Makkah or Medina, wherever your point of arrival is, please, first and foremost, I would say carry some clothing with you that you're going to wear in the plane. You come out, you're literally walking into an inferno. That's how hot it'll be. Hydrate wherever you are. Get to your hotel. Please rest. Rest is of utmost importance. One of the first things that we see on arrival of the Hujjaj is that they all come with swollen feet, no matter how old or young you are. While you are on the plane, please try to do some leg muscle exercises. You can Google that. But even before embarking on your journey, the most important thing for you to do is please walk. Walk at home. Walk at a time when you can avoid the colds. Walk with a comfortable pair of teki or whatever is going to be comfortable for you. Please, it's important that you wear in your shoe in South Africa. Don't put that shoe on at the airport or when you arrive in the kingdom. That's important. People come there, swollen feet, it's acceptable because it's a long flight. We get blisters that we see on arrival. So these are little things that you've got to take cognizance of. Most important is when you get to your hotel, please rest. Just don't start, say, we're going to go and do an Umrah now, and you come back and you've got blisters on your feet. Very difficult for you to walk. It makes your journey very difficult. The one thing that I cannot emphasize more on is those that are on chronic medication, please carry it with you. We are an emergency unit that we work. We try and do the best that we can. We cannot carry everybody's chronic medication with. My suggestion is that if it's a couple or a group that's known to one another, please carry some medication into one bag of one person and some medication in the other bag. The reason being is that on our last trip, we had a couple, both were diabetic. The medication was lost at reception. Their sugar was out of control. We had to wait for somebody to come from Cape Town to bring the medication through. It's very difficult. We don't get the same medication there, or at least I'm not familiar with that type of medication. Chronics, please carry your medication. The answer about the codeine, be sensible. Please be sensible. You don't want to put yourself into trouble. They are very, very strict. The other thing is, when your umrah's done, your ziyarats are done, please make sure when you get back to your hotel, you rest. The reason being is, think of Hajj as a marathon. We all wait, we all train for the marathon. Hajj is your lifetime marathon. If you are going to go on to Hajj, it's pointless tiring yourself up in the beginning of the race. It's that last 5 days that is of utmost importance to you. When you are phoning and greeting your relatives, what are you going to say? You're going to say, we're going for Hajj. That is your final destination. In Azizia, I've seen people socialize to such an extent. Our last trip, I had 4 young couples. They don't realize the importance of rest. And I warned them. They were literally surviving on 2 hours of sleep. And I said, you're going to collapse. And that's exactly what happened. I didn't wish ill for them, but we see the telltale signs. So please hydrate, rest, and do not push your body if it cannot go any further. You need your energy for those 5 days. Most important of all, people are scared. As South Africans, we don't want to use the toilets. It's a big problem. You are there merely for about max 72 hours. You need to make your ibadah, you need to rest, you need to hydrate. You don't want to be collapsing. Believe you me, it's not a nice feeling, right? So when you do have to use the bathroom, be sensible about it. And honestly, it's not that those bathrooms are in use for the whole 365 days. Just be a little bit tolerant. And South Africans have their own toilets. So what you do at home, you will continue doing there as well. We have a major, major problem. We have people that want to think it's salat time, or we're quickly going to go to the bathroom and make wuzu. Remember, the queues are long. It's hot sun. We literally end up picking patients or hujjaj that have fainted outside the loo, bring them to our tent, hydrate them. So we're not here to make life difficult or give you lectures. It's just to facilitate your Hajj and see wherever we can fit in. For the ladies, if you have any queries, you can see me privately, or even better, see the doctor that you're comfortable with. Chronic patients, please do carry a script or just a letter from your doctor saying that you are on these medications for the time period that you're going to be traveling. Carry enough supplies. And that's all that I have. If I've left out anything, please, I do apologize. But I wish you all a beautiful journey, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Don't run away, just stand here. Just stand here. Give you a mic. If there's any questions that you can answer, you can sit down here. Jazakallah, Dr. Razia. If there's any questions, please. Okay, we do the other part. Okay. We will do the main part now. Now I'm going to call upon Hafiz Ismail Kulwadia, who has been the head of mission for many years, many, many years. And I must say, an experienced man. And he's been going there with the mission. And mind you that if you only know what goes on in the mission, the preparation for the mission before Hajj, when does the preparation start? And when the mission members arrive in Madinatul Munawwara, in Makkatul Mukarramah, in Jeddah, before the Hujjaj even leave, they've got to set up. And I must say, those Hajis that are going to travel to Jeddah, you'll know the new airport is massive. It's massive. Now you can imagine a mission member is stationed there to receive you. And the walking that's going to happen there, in a day you will walk at least 20, 30, 40 kilometers in a day in those airports. So I'm going to ask Hafiz Ismail to give us a rundown on the mission. And when he finishes, please raise your questions, send us your questions on the YouTube, write down your questions if you have, and medical questions also, please. Let us address the questions. You have this moment. It's a Hajj Awareness Program. You need to familiarize yourself with the processes of Hajj. So I'm going to ask Hafiz Ismail to address us. Jazakallah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله اللهم صل على سيدنا ونبينا وشفينا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم. Yes, I'm going to talk about the mission. But I also want to introduce myself. I'm not from the mafia. At the moment on social media, it is said that SAHUC is part of the mafia. Inshallah wal Aziz, if you see my face, I'm sure you agree with me that I don't look like a mafia. I'm going to try my best and give you a synopsis of the mission. We don't have too much of time. We've got basically about another 40 minutes left for the YouTube live streaming. So inshallah, I'm going to try and see how best I can cover the important aspects. Just as Dr. Razia was speaking, there's one point that I think she missed out, and one is about the ladies. The ladies, when they get to Makkah, they want to change their cycle because they're scared that they might not be clean when they go on the 5 days. And they tend to do this without consulting their doctors. And it becomes a major problem. If you want to do that, you've got to start doing it now. Otherwise, I can guarantee you, you're going to have a major issue, and you can ask that question when the question time comes, and I'm sure Dr. Razia will agree with me on that. Nevertheless, what does the mission do? What the objectives of the mission is? I'm going to try and give you a synopsis of that. And I think the first point of contact that you're going to have with the mission is going to be at the airport. Now, I need to make you understand that when you see this guy with the SAHUC bib at the airport, he's not there to dictate to you. He's there to assist you. He is there to befriend you. So don't look at him with an antagonistic eye. If you're going to do that, that's the type of result you're going to get. And one of the major issues we have is when people tend to come to the airport, and if the mission guy tells you, look, please stand in that particular corner or follow that particular queue, our South Africans generally have an attitude. And because of that attitude, you find everything goes wrong at that point in time. So I think very important, not only at the airport, but on the entire journey, we have to change our attitude. If our attitude is correct, Inshallahul Aziz, you will find everything falling into place. So again, I want to reiterate, when you do see the guy with the bib at the airport, be it in South Africa or be it in Medina, believe you me, he is out there to help you. He is out there to assist you. He is out there to make your journey a comfortable one. If you have that in the back of your mind, Inshallahul Aziz, you will find the guy will go the extra mile to assist you to make you comfortable. I'm going to start with the baggage. Obviously, that is what we need to take with us. Most of the airlines are allowing 2 by 23 kilos. Our advice to the Hajis, especially husband and wife, pack it in such a way that in the wife's bag you have half of the husband's clothes, and in the husband's bag you have half of the wife's clothes. The reason for that is in the event, if any of those bags get mislaid or doesn't arrive at the destination, at least you have some clothing to carry on further for the next few days until your bag does arrive. We find in a lot of cases, people tend to pack their own bags and then they have to wait 2 days or 3 days, sometimes even 10 days before the bag comes, and then all hell breaks loose. Unfortunately, anything that goes wrong on the trip, as far as the Haji is concerned, it becomes a SAHUC problem. We don't load the plane, we don't offload the plane, nor do we want your bags to get lost. Yes, we are there to assist you, we are there to facilitate you, we are there to try and see how best we can make sure that everything comes on time. But if it doesn't happen and it is beyond our control, please be patient, bear with us. Once we have it, we will deliver it to you. So my advice is pack it in such a way that in the event one gets lost, you still have enough to carry on for the next day. The second thing is the chronic medication. We advise that don't put it in your big bags. It must be carried in your hand luggage, because that is another challenge that you have. The Hajis come there because the South African Hajj and Umrah Council does not cater for chronic medication. So if your medication hasn't arrived or you don't have your medication with you, unfortunately we can't do nothing. And there's certain medications that are not available in the kingdom. So we reiterate that you make sure that you carry your chronic medication in your hand luggage. If you do that, inshallah, you'll be safe as far as the medication is concerned. Getting onto the plane, no problem. The problem that we have found is the way we South Africans utilize the toilets on the plane. It is absolutely disgusting to get onto the flight and after 1 hour go and use the toilet. It is messed beyond one's comprehension. As Muslims, especially if you're on a Saudi flight and it's 99.9% Muslims, we don't seem to cater or care about the next person that's going to use the toilet. Yes, I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's difficult. It does mess. But it won't take you 2 minutes to bend down and wipe the mess. Even on the pan, on the high pan, water messes. We don't even have the damn decency to basically wipe off that pan and leave it in a manner that the next person can come and utilize that. So I'm asking for the Hujjaj to be very careful as far as this is concerned and take that extra precaution so it becomes comfortable for the next person to use the toilet. Now people must be thinking that this guy is becoming very technical, but this is the reality, believe you me. All those people that have traveled with Saudi Airlines, specifically when there is 99% Muslims, don't use the toilet after 1 hour because you're not going to be able to be comfortable. But if we take care and do the necessary, then believe you me, for the 8 hours you can have a fantastic journey and you will find the toilet in the condition that you had found it when you just took onto the plane. Nevertheless, most of the Hajjis, I think the South African Hajjis are going to be flying to Medina. We recommend that because in Medina it's a lot more comfortable. The people are a lot more pleasurable, they're much more welcoming. When you arrive there will be a SAHUC team that will be waiting for you to welcome you. Again, they will assist you and tell you what you must do, what you must not do. And as I mentioned earlier on, they are not giving you an instruction. They've basically been given an instruction for you to be instructed what to do in order to make your exit from the airport comfortable. They have to facilitate your movement from there onto the buses, make sure that your baggage gets loaded, but there's a procedure, and that procedure has to be followed. Once it's followed, inshallah, you will find that you are comfortable. Don't panic at any stage. SAHUC will not leave you in an lurch. They will not leave the airport until every South African has left the airport onto the bus to his destination. So if you are lost or if you are in a situation, there's nothing to panic about. We are there to try and assist you to make sure that you get to your destination with least or minimum hassles. Jeddah, unfortunately, is a little bit more difficult. I doubt it there's going to be too many South Africans that are going to fly into Jeddah. Maybe the last 2 weeks when people are going to come for the 2-week package, you might have a few coming into Jeddah. Jeddah is a bit of a challenge, but again, there will be South African Umrah Council members available at the airport to assist you with the necessary procedures. Generally, when the Hajjis come to Jeddah, they land at the Hajj terminal. It is a little bit more taxing than a normal airport. But again, like I said, there's nothing to fear. Our guys will be there. They will be there to assist you. Once you get to Medina, you will be taken to your hotels. Your operator also will be there to receive you. Inshallah al-Aziz, the hotels that are being used in Medina are fairly comfortable. They're all 4-star and above. So I don't think you should have any major issues as far as the accommodation is concerned. If there is anything that you are not happy with, if there is anything that you feel your agent has told you or has contracted you with and he hasn't delivered, speak to him. We are pretty confident 9 out of 10 times they will resolve the issue. If that fails, then you have the right to talk to one of the SAHUC members. They will then try to mediate the situation and see how best they can resolve the issue. Number 2, it is important that whatever you have been promised or whatever you have been told must be in writing. Verbal, unfortunately, we cannot entertain. As much as we might sit and talk about it, but it's going to be your word against the operator's word and the operator's word against your word. There's very little that we can do. For one example I give, it might sound a bit cynical, but if the operator has promised you that you're going to have 2 toilets and 2 bathrooms in your flat, it must be put in that contract. If it is not in the contract, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to assist you. So again, I reiterate, make sure, I think our president also made note of that you know what, make sure that you don't sign blank contracts, make sure that you know what you are signing for, so that in the event there's any dispute, we can then be able to resolve it as per the contract. After your stay in Medina, you depart obviously to Makkah. That journey is a bit of a taxing journey. It's anything between 8 and 12 hours. But because you're going in ihram, because you're going with butterflies in your stomach, not to know what to expect there, there's a little bit of anxiety. Now, again, we say that don't panic in the situation, because once panic sets in, everything goes wrong. The recommendation from the Hajj ministry is you don your ihram at the hotel, although the bus does go from the hotel to the border which is known as Bir Ali. Bir Ali does have the facilities where you can don your ihram, where you can take a bath and things like that, but unfortunately it is very congested, and because of the congestion you become a little bit uncomfortable. So if you prepare yourself at the hotel in your own comfort zone, you find that you are much more better equipped. Once you come to Bir Ali, you can then make your intention and go into ihram as you are departing to Makkah. Like I said, that journey is a bit of a taxing journey. I think it's the longest journey by bus that you will be enduring between 8 and 12 hours. Again, we cannot guarantee that everything is going to go well on that trip. Why I'm saying that is sometimes the bus can have a puncture, the bus can have a breakdown, and then the Hajis get upset and they maintain that nothing is being done. The ruling from the ministry is that every company that provides busing services has to have backup buses every 50 kilometers between Medina and Makkah. But it takes a few hours for that bus to come to where you are. They have to unload the one bus, load the bus again, and then put you on the journey. So that journey sometimes can turn into becoming 12 or 14 or 16 hours. But again, those are situations that are outside our control, but we will try and make sure. And I think in the recent past, most of the operators have been using fairly new buses, but that doesn't give a guarantee that the new bus cannot break down. With the exception of breakdowns, inshallah, within the period of 8 hours, you will reach your destination. The bus will take you to your hotel. Once you get to the hotel, your operator will be there. The mission members also will be there to welcome you, to make you comfortable. What we find that a lot of times the Hajis get excited and they want to offload their bags and they want to see where their bags are. What we are saying is, please leave that to the responsible people. The Hajj ministry doesn't want the Haji to even touch or lift his bag. They have special people that they have assigned to offload your bags. They will keep it in a designated period, and basically you will then identify it and it will be sent to your rooms. So please don't assist the people that are unloading the bus. Don't be in the way of the people who are offloading the bus, because that can only make things very difficult. Another one thing that I forgot to mention is when you are leaving from here, you need to adequately mark your bags. We find that to be a big challenge, especially when the bags are coming to Medina or Jeddah, to identify those bags. If they are not adequately marked, it becomes very difficult. Now, I know SAHUC used to give those stickers out. Use them, mark them, so that what happens is by the time you actually come out of the immigration, your bags are already being on the conveyor belts. Then our guys, the mission members, are there. If there is a SAHUC sticker on it, it makes it easy for us to identify. It makes it easy for us to take the bags off the conveyor, keep it in a particular area, so that when you come, you can identify your bags and then it's taken to another area. So marking of the bags is fairly important and crucial in order for us to identify. Makkah, again, inshallah, I don't think we should have too much of a problem. We have good hotels. I think most of the operators are using 5-star hotels, so I don't think that should be too much of an issue or too much of a challenge. But again, if there is a problem, you're most welcome to talk to the mission. First, talk to your operator, and I'm confident that you will resolve it. But if it's not resolved, talk to us. We will try and resolve it for you. We operate a medical facility both in Medina and in Makkah. In Medina, the medical facility will be in Talbiyah Center on the 10th floor. Inshallah, closer to the time, we will have notices put up in your hotels to tell you exactly where we are, so that it can make it easy for you to find the place and obviously to be serviced. In Makkah, we're anticipating the clinic to be at Marriott. In fact, not anticipating, it is confirmed that we're going to have it in a Marriott hotel. So inshallah, again, there also, we will send you a notification or a poster in your particular hotel to tell you exactly in which room we are located. The medical facility is there to give you primary health care. One of the big challenges that we have, many of our Hujjaj actually abuse the facility. Now, we don't have a problem if the patients come and they need the necessary services. They're most welcome to do so. That is what we are there for. But you'll find those people who are diabetic or those who are suffering from high blood pressure will basically want their pressure and their sugar testing to be done every day, and they expect it to be done at the clinic. Now, yes, if we have the facility and we have the time, we will do that. But if it's busy, you're going to have to wait your turn, and many a times you will be asked to come at the time that is quieter than just to walk in at any given time and expecting to be serviced because you want to test your blood pressure or your sugar. We have incidences in the past where people have used the clinic 20 times. One particular person has visited the clinic 20 times. We don't have a problem, but then that very same Haji will complain about the 1,500 rand that he pays. That 1,500 rand that you are paying are for services that we provide for you in the kingdom. So technically, if the guy comes twice to the clinic, that 1,500 rand is gone. In these days, I mean, you go to the doctor without medication, just consultation is 400 rand. We do all the services absolutely free with no qualms or quabbles. So again, respect the facilities, and inshallah in that way we will be able to go the extra mile to give you better services. Towards the end of Hajj, we have what we call the collectors. I don't know if you people know what I mean by collectors. You'll find a lot of these people coming in the end. They want antibiotics, they want all the different type of medication so they can take it back home so they don't have to buy medicine in South Africa. And then when the clinic people refuse to give that, then SAHUC becomes the mafia. So please, be understanding, be reasonable. We are there to try and assist you, but don't take advantage of our good nature. And if you don't do that, really, we will assist you to the best of our ability. After your stay in Mecca, you obviously move to Azizia. Now that's where your challenges start. Because now from 5-star, you're coming down to 2-star, and you're coming down to 1-star. Our recommendation to young couples, if you can afford it, depending on the financial capacity, try and take couple rooms. A lot of times, when the guys get to Azizia, because the accommodation is sharing, 4 men in one room, 4 ladies in one room, they see each other probably namaz time and that's about it. Frustration creeps in and then you find all the fights. Then you find all the tantrums being thrown in the reception area. If you want to throw tantrums and you want your issues, please do it in private. Don't do it in the midst of all people because it becomes very embarrassing and also becomes very challenging. So those young couples, if you can afford, try and see if you can get your own room so you have only yourself and your husband or your husband and your wife to share the room. In that way you are a lot more comfortable. Those who can't afford it, unfortunately you will have to bear with the situation and be tolerant, and hopefully the time will pass very quickly so that you can be comfortable in Azizia. But like I said, the challenges start from Azizia because now the accommodation has dropped. You can't compare the Azizia accommodation with Mecca and Medina. After your stay in Medina, obviously you're going to now move on to Mina, and that is now the actual test. Currently, we can't tell you what the facilities are. We can only tell you what they're anticipating to do. Whether it's going to be done or not, Wallahu alam, Allah only knows best, because of the fact that we haven't been there for the last 2 years. We were told when we were there in the conference in March that they're not going to allow anybody to sleep on the floor. They're going to actually put beds in Mina. Now, whether it's going to happen this Hajj, I can't tell you, nor can I guarantee you. Whether those prices that they have quoted is going to be to facilitate those type of facilities, I can't tell you. But again, I think we need to go with the mindset that Mina is going to be challenging. One of the biggest problems that we have in Mina, obviously, is the ablution facilities. Like Doctor mentioned, South Africans find it difficult to use those toilets. But in order to be hydrated, in order to be healthy, you're going to have to use those toilets and you're going to have to make do with those facilities. Hopefully, I'm pretty confident that you'll be able to cope with it if you just have to adjust. The first day is going to be difficult, but once you get used to the situation, inshallah al-Aziz, it will all come right. In Mina, in the past, we used to provide a medical facility in Mina as well. Whether that's going to be allowed this year or not, I can't tell you. In the past, we used to have an informal facility within the camp to be able to assist our Hujjaj. Over and above that, if it's there and if it's available, we will definitely provide that service. If it's not available, there are other clinics which are provided by the health ministry within close proximity of our camps, and inshallah, you will be assisted there at the clinic. But we will try our utmost best to see whether we cannot facilitate our own medical facility, be it in an impromptu way, but it will be then done, subject to whether the Muassasa is going to give us permission. From there, we're going to move into Arafat. Arafat, as we all know, is always a challenge. It's an open area, it's just a tent there, you sit there, there's no beds there, it's basically to pass your day. What is very, very challenging is obviously going to be the heat. They are anticipating that the temperatures are going to be anything between 45 and 55 degrees. Now, in Arafat, a lot of the guys want to be as close as possible to Jabal Rahmah because they want to face there and they want to make dua and things like that. We don't have a problem. You're most welcome to go there. But you got to take into consideration your health before you decide to go there. Because you must know there's no covering there and it is absolutely hot. A lot of people go and make dua there for their salvation. When they come back, I make this as a joke, when they come back from there, we have to make dua for their survival because they are so drained out, they technically cannot stand on their feet. We have found in the last couple of years, the amount of drips that we use on Arafah, we don't use on the entire stay in Makkah, Medina, and Mina. And it's all because of hydration. Now, I know there's a big thing about the walking Hajj. Now, a lot of people might be thinking that we as SAHUC are against the walking Hajj. We're not against the walking Hajj. If you have the capacity, yes, by all means go and do it. But 99%, and I'm going to relate one incident which will basically give you your understanding what I'm trying to tell you. Hashim Amla, we all know him. He was a cricketer and he was very fit. He walked from Azizia to Mina. When he got to Mina, he decided to take the bus. He reckoned, we cannot endure this type of situation and weather conditions. For a fit sportsman, and not when he was retired, while he was still playing for the South African team, he just walked from Azizia to Mina, which is approximately about 2.83 kilometers, maximum 5 kilometers, depending on where you are based. And he changed his mind from Mina to do a bus Hajj. When I say bus, he climbed onto the bus rather than do the walking again from Mina to Arafat and Arafat to Muzdalifah. So you need to be super fit to be able to do that. Now I know the South Africans are going to challenge us. They have been challenging us for the last 10 years about that. The only time we can challenge them is when they come on a stretcher. But they're so uitgeput, there's no time to challenge them also because you need to resuscitate them because they're totally out of bounds. Now, I'm telling you the walking Hajj is a challenge. Again, we provide assistance. In fact, we send a person with the group to assist them. But it is so difficult. If there are 100 people, 2 people cannot assist 100 people. It's very difficult. But what I'm saying at the end of the day, be very conscious of the fact that you need to be fit in order to do the walking Hajj. Otherwise, your primary objective of Hajj is being lost because of the fact that you haven't taken care of yourself. You find a lot of the people after they walk, they come back and they got big, big blisters. Now, when we used to run the clinic on the Mashayikh, there are clear instructions from the ministry that we cannot use any sharps. We're not allowed to use any injectables. So there is no way we can help you. The only thing we can do is put a bandage around it. We can't even cut it because we're not allowed to carry any type of sharps. So be considerate about this particular fact. There's very little we can do to assist you, but these are the realities, especially those people. You know, we as South Africans back home, even if you want to go to the toilet, we want to go by car. You know, we find it very difficult to do a little bit of walking. Now, if you feel that you want to do the walking Hajj, then you start training from now, or you start walking from now so that you can adapt. And even if you're going to do that, the weather conditions are not going to be very favorable for that type of situation. I'm going to tell you one incident that took place in walking. Sometimes even the husband and wives get confused. Now you're going to think I'm lying what I'm telling you, but that's a reality. The woman held thinking she held her husband's hand. When they got to Arafat, that's the only time she realized it was not her husband, it was somebody else. Now, whether she enjoyed it or she didn't enjoy it, I can't tell you about that, but I can tell you about the fact that this incident took place. So one needs to be careful as far as these situations are concerned. Arafat again is challenging. The toilets, they have built new toilets, but I'm telling you, the new toilets, when we were there, were not really user-friendly. They were leaking all over the show. 99% when you're walking there, the thing is full of water. You don't know whether it's clean water or dirty water. So my recommendation, instead of using those toilets, use the conventional ones, which may look a bit old, but I think they're a lot more cleaner and a lot more comfortable than the new ones that they've built. Unless they've changed the situation now, I cannot tell you, but in the past, it was problematic. From there, you come to Muzdalifah. I think yesterday somebody mentioned it that, some of the Hajis, when they went to Muzdalifah, they wanted to take the operator to court, to the ombudsman. So they say, now why? He said, no, in the package, he said, full Hajj with complete accommodation. When we went to Muzdalifah, there was no accommodation. They were living in the open. So be prepared that in Muzdalifah, there is no tents. Like they say in Makkah, Medina, you got 5-star, Makkah, you got 4-star, Jeddah, in Azizah, you got 2-star. When you come to Muzdalifah, you only got stars. Nothing else but stars. You understand? So again, in Muzdalifah, it's a difficult place. The toilets also is a problem. What we recommend is the minute you get to Muzdalifah, try and relieve yourself as quickly as possible. In the early stages, it's comfortable. Number 2, take some drinking water with you. Carry some extra water with you in Muzdalifah. There's no vendors there. There's no supply of water there. So it becomes a bit of a challenge. So make sure that you carry a couple of bottles of water, so that in the event you need to quench your thirst, you've got some water there. As far as cold water is concerned, that's a luxury on Muzdalifah. Just water in itself is good enough if you got that. Then obviously, after you finish Muzdalifah, we come back to Mina. Now, one of the challenges that we have is that from Muzdalifah, you walk past the Jamarat to come to your camps. And a lot of our South Africans take advantage of that, and they want to pelt on the way going to Mina. If you don't have a time schedule that allows you pelt in that particular time, you are actually contravening the rules of the ministry. As long as you are not caught or you are not on camera, fine, you can get away with it. But I can tell you, those things are monitored 24/7. Yes, there was a request that was sent to us from the Muassasa as to our recommended times for pelting. Our request was from Fajr time up till 10 o'clock in the morning on the first day, and the second and third day we've asked for after Zawal up till Isha. We hope and pray they concede to our request. If they do that, then inshallah Aziz, we shouldn't have a problem. Now, on Sunday, I think we had a Hajj seminar in Lens, and I gave a bit of a talk about this Hajj thing by saying that, we need to adhere to the rules and regulations that the ministry actually put for us. Somebody got up there and started giving me the whole manasik, the rules and regulations from the form imam's perspective. Now, we as SAHUC don't get involved into the manasiks. We basically just facilitate what the Hajj ministry tells. So we're requesting that you adhere to the times. If you are not happy with the times, tell us about it. We will go and renegotiate it with the authorities. But don't make it sound like as if SAHUC is putting pressure on you to go and pelt at that particular time. We basically just facilitate what the ministry wants. So again, we have requested for those so that we don't have an issue. I know they say all of the imams are of the opinion that we can only pelt after Zawal. We're going to try our best to facilitate it after Zawal till Isha, maybe even later up to midnight, depending on the weather conditions, because if it's very hot, it's going to become a challenge itself. It is also a guided trip. That means there'll be people from the Muassasa and there will be people from the mission that will be there to assist you, to take you through to the Jamarat. You've got to go with a particular route and you come back with another route so that you don't create congestion. So it's important that you adhere to the members that are with you in order to facilitate your movement and to make it easy for you to come back there. So as far as that is concerned, inshallah al-Aziz, I think the most important thing, if we have discipline, cooperation and perseverance with the situation, we will be able to overcome all the challenges that we will face on Hajj. And I want to reiterate that as SAHUC, we will never leave you in an lurch. We will always be there, whether you are lost, whether you are alone, whether you're in a group, whether you with A operator or C operator, it has no bearing on us. We are there to serve you. We are there to make sure that we want to facilitate you. And you must remember, as much as we want to facilitate you, the Hajj ministry is just as conscious, just as concerned to make sure that everything runs clockwork. But again, there are some things that is beyond their comprehension, beyond our power, but we work towards making sure that we facilitate the whole process. Inshallah al-Aziz, other than that, your return, our guys will be at the Jeddah airport again to facilitate your movement. Make sure that you pack, you have enough, how should I put it, extra reals, so that you have to pay for excess baggage. Because normally when we come to the airport, then they want the mission members to make a plan. The mission members are not architects. They can't draw plans and they can't make plans. If you are in excess of, especially when you're coming back, the airlines are very strict with excess luggage. So you either make sure that you send your luggage away, whatever excess you have, and you are within the ambit of what is being allowed, depending on which airlines you fly. The Zamzam is becoming a big issue. You must have heard about it, you must have read about it, that at the new airport, they don't have facilities for people to take Zamzam. Now, they have what we call a foreign airline, which is the North Terminal, and they used to have a Saudia terminal, and they have the new airport. Now the Saudia terminal is no more in existence. It's now the new terminal and North Terminal. Now on the North Terminal, where Ethiopian Airlines fly from, where Egypt Airlines fly from, you don't have a problem with Zamzam. They allow you 1 by 5 liters. But from the new airport, where we are told that Emirates and Qatar flies from, unfortunately don't have the infrastructure to load Zamzam. So and you will not be able to take Zamzam with the current situation. Whether it's going to change at the time of Hajj, only Allah knows best. Number 2, in the past, a lot of people used to put Zamzam in their bags. People used to have, I used to do it myself. I don't have to talk about other people. I was now there in March. I had extra space in my bag, so I put 2 boxes of Zamzam in my bag. Alhamdulillah, with Allah's fazl and karam, it came safely. Now there is a directive from GACA. GACA is our EXA. That if they find any Zamzam in the bags, it will be deemed to be a criminal offense. So please, take precautions. Don't put Zamzam in the bag. It's cheaper to buy the Zamzam here. I know it's $270, but at the end of the day, it's going to be cheaper to buy it here than to put it in the bag and have all the hassles and the aggravations. So try and avoid putting Zamzam in the bags, specifically now that you're having this challenge with bringing the Zamzam on certain airlines. I think I've basically covered most of it. Yeah, I'll basically just open up for questions and answer if there's anything that you guys are not clear about. But I think overall we have basically covered the gist of the mission. But if you just adhere to that principle where I told you that we are there to assist you, we will be there at all times. We are normally the first to come in, the last to leave. So if anything does go pear-shaped, inshallah al-Aziz, SAHUC will be there at your service to try and assist you. Wish you all a accepted Hajj, a safe trip, and inshallah al-Aziz, if all goes well, we'll all be meeting again sometime soon. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hafiz Ismail, in a nutshell, that is what Hajj is all about. I must say that some years ago, while waiting where the SAHUC medical mission is, so sitting there and speaking to the Hujjaj, and some Hajis came and they said, you know what, they are not well and they'd like to have panados. So they said, but please don't give us the pink color panados, we want the green ones, because my doctor prescribed me the green color. Now what is a green color? Do you know the name of the tablet? Or you don't know the name of the tablet? Take your pink, take your green, take the yellow ones that you want. Because when we go to the medical mission, in that year there were approximately 2,500 Hajis that went on Hajj. And we had over 9,300 visits by South African Hajis to the medical facility. And every time a Haji that comes there, it's recorded. Who are you? What is your name? What is your passport number? It's recorded. We have a record. It's not exaggerated. But over 9,000 visits we had. With a pleasure. If the need is there, why not? Use the facility. It is for the Hajis. But let us also think of those who are in need, who are desperate. Let us think of them also. Any questions, please write your questions. If you want to ask the question, please. There's a question. Brother, please, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I know in previous years you used to be able to arrange to fly from Medina to Makkah, and now there's the high-speed train. How does that work if you don't want to take the bus?
The question is that in the past you used to fly from Medina to Makkah. Not to Makkah, but to Jeddah. So, Shaheen, please answer.
In terms of the train usage. So the facility is available. You have to just discuss that with your operator, and the necessary arrangements need to be made from here. You can't make the decision once you're there. Pilgrims need to understand that when you do your routing, you land in Jeddah, you move from Jeddah, you land in Medina, you go from the airport to the hotel. From the hotel, you're going to go by bus to Makkah, from Makkah to Azizia to the 5 days Mashair, and then back to Jeddah. Obviously, they have the train facility in between, so you just have to work that routing out with your operator, and if that falls within the ambit of the tanazzul. You see the landing tanazzul that was quoted on that pamphlet that was sent out? Medina and Jeddah have different values, and that just needs to be made sure that it is included in that. Otherwise, if the train is not included in that, you may need to have a higher fee, and you may need to pay a bit more to the operator.
Jazakallah. Any other questions? Can't be. I can't believe it. All the questions are answered already. Yusufai at the back? Question? Nobody in the front? Normally they say in the school class, in the front, guys don't ask questions because the clever guys sit in the front, the dumb guys like me sit at the back. No. There is a question. So why? Sorry, please, on the mic.
Sorry. There's still one Hajj class next week, Saturday, Sunday. For those that want to come to it, they're welcome. There is a poster on the door there. They can take down the website and register for it. It's free of charge.
On Saturday, the 4th and the 5th of June at the Mayfair Juma Masjid, we will have Hajj classes for males and females. Exactly. What time, sir?
Saturday from 2 o'clock till Maghrib. That's the Medina Munawwara Lake. And on Sunday morning, inshallah, from 8:30 till Zuhr time, that's the Makkah leg. Hopefully there's no load shedding.
Inshallah, inshallah. Why you do have a slideshow also?
Complete slideshow showing you the procedures to go to the Roza Mubarak and what is to be done in Medina Munawwara, as well as the ziyarats that they will be taken on. And on Sunday, the procedure of Umrah as well as the Hajj and
Jazakallah.
Aziziyah stay.
So to all the viewers of ITV and those following us on YouTube, if you haven't come to this Hajj Awareness Program, next week Saturday, being the 4th of June and the 5th of June, Hajj classes will take place at the Mayfair Jummah Masjid classrooms. On Saturday the 4th, they will discuss Madinatul Munawwara. On Sunday the 5th of June, inshallah, from 8 a.m. until Dhuhr, they will discuss Makkah and Hajj. Is there refreshments also? Is it why? Not at the moment. If you tell us so, we know how to prepare. Jazakallah. Anybody else for a question? Please, sister.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Is there any approved places we need to do our PCR test with, or can we do it anyway?
Is it Lancet only? Lancet Laboratory.
Laboratories were at the ANPAT. Those are going to be your best in terms of speed of response and acceptability internationally. I can't answer that. I've never used anybody else except Lancet, and it's been the best. I don't work for them.
You don't want to go to the airport and you are rejected, that this is not what they want. I know in some countries, when you travel and they don't accept a PCR test, then you've got to do a PCR test there, and the cost is exorbitant. But within 4 hours, you can get your results, but on condition, if you miss your flight, it is your responsibility. G, Ben, ask the question. See, exactly the same. And you got the answer, G. Jazakallah. Please explain the use of the app to perform tawaf and rawdah. When should you take one PCR test if leaving, for example, 14th of June?
Let's start off with the PCR test. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia requires that a PCR test be done no longer than 72 hours before you depart. So work out your departure time on the 14th of June and work 72 hours before that. You need to basically have 3 days that you need to take that PCR test. You can't take it 4 days before. So you can't take it on the 10th, it must be on the 11th. And inshallah, that PCR test will then be acceptable in that regard. With regards to the app, for Hajj, they haven't indicated whether the Itmarna or the Tawakkalna app is going to be utilized and whether it is going to be inactive. We don't know what the process is going to be on the ladies' ziyarah to Medina. That has always been a challenge. Whether you're using the app or whether outside of the app. That's always been a challenge. Females who have been to Makkah before for Hajj will be able to tell you how difficult that is, and therefore when you do go, make the most of it when you do go in, inshallah. In terms of tawaf, as I mentioned earlier, the only thing we were informed is that you will perform Umrah on the mataf when you are in Ihram. And obviously when you're coming back from Hajj, that will be a different scenario when you're doing your tawaf ziyarah or tawaf al-ifada as it is known. And you will then do your nafil tawaf on the first floor, the roof or the mezzanine levels. Jazakallah.
G.
I just want to find out, are we allowed to take food?
Are we allowed to take food? Yes. You are allowed to take food, but now food for 1 day, 2 days, or is it for the month?
No, to take you to the journey of Medina.
to take you to the journey of Medina, patkos, raste ka khana. You permit it. But you know, I must say, a lot of people take pies made here. Pies, we bake pies, and on the pies you put those seeds, that poppy seeds. Now that poppy seeds is banned in Saudi Arabia because that is, what is it? That poppy seed is utilized, it's part of narcotics there in that country. So that is why a lot of people that take pies, and when the customs or the health, they open those food parcels, they take those pies and they throw it away. Let us be mindful of it, that we are not taking so much of food. I know some years ago when we had the ambassador from Saudi Arabia, Ambassador His Excellency Zaidan, then people took from here food and they took meat. They took like about 300-400 kilos. Why you are taking this? No, it's haram. My Maulana told me it's haram and I will cook my own food by within limits. If your Maulana told you, I respect you for it. But you cannot take so much of meat without a permit. You've got to take a permit. The use of heating facilities in the hotels it's no more. It's not permitted because of fire hazards. You're not the only Haji there. Over the years, I think so 3 years or 4 years ago, there was a canister of gas that blasted. 97 also. How many people got burnt? How many people died? So all these things need to be put into proper safety measures need to be taken also. It's not, I am there, I'm very careful, so what? You are very careful, but everybody is different. We come from South Africa. You have Hajis that come from across the world. You're going to see, if people haven't traveled, you're going to see Hajis of different sizes. You're going to see them in different colors. You're going to see them speaking different languages. They come from different cultures. And what? The rule is for everybody. Everybody has to follow the rule. So it is very important that we follow. Is there any indication from the ministry regarding the status for Tawaf al-Wida? Nothing. At the moment, we don't have any information regarding Tawaf al-Wida. How are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? I'm sure when you're going to be in the kingdom, then when you prepare, just few days before you are leaving Tawaf al-Wida. I know of somebody that went in Ramadan. What he did? He went to Masjid Aisha, he put on his ihram to make Tawaf al-Wida. Now he's gone out of the boundary. Now he's put on ihram. Now he has come. In ihram, you're going to make tawaf, and you are going to make safa sa'i. Now, but he didn't do that. Now his mufti said, now he's got to give them, and he's got to go back to give them in Makkah. Now what are we going to do? Is there any questions? Please.
There's a question that came up from the floor. Portable washing machine. Doesn't matter how big or how small it is. Leave it at home. There's enough laundries in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, with all due respect. You know, you remind me of a story now back in 2012. We were staying in a hotel and I was standing and talking to the manager of the front desk. And a gentleman came up to the front desk, not a South African, I'll have you know. And he says to the manager, the microwave in my room is not working. So there was a stunned silence. So the manager said to me, come with me, please. So we went up to the 14th floor. And we went into the room and he asked the man, please can you show me what you did to the microwave that it's not working? And the guy opened the cupboard and he opened the electronic safe and he took his chicken out of the safe. Now, let's understand where we are. The microwave does not work because there is no microwave in the room. So please let us not misunderstand and misconstrue the process. Please, people, let's just be reasonable in terms of what we're going to do. We're not going there to make a life for ourselves in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We're going to perform Hajj. Hafiz Ismail summed it up in a very, very significant way. Follow the rules of the kingdom, follow the rules of the ministry. You're going to have the most enjoyable Hajj ever, inshallah. You must be probably one of the luckiest groups ever in Hajj. Well, other than last year, obviously, or the year before, where you are not going to have the multitude of 2.5 million people plus. As of today, the 25th of Shawwal, in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, they have stopped all persons visiting Makkah without a valid Hajj tasrikh. So if you're an expatriate living in Jeddah, and you're coming to Makkah for the sake of visiting Makkah to perform Umrah or to perform, Salah, you cannot enter. They are stopping people from now to make sure that they do the preparations for Hajj in order to welcome you as part of the 1 million that are going to perform Hajj, inshallah. May Allah accept from one and all. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Jazakallah khair, Jazam. I've got a difficult task to do, is to thank, a vote of thanks. I want to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that out of His infinite mercy, He has given us the tawfiq and the ability to be the ummatis of Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I want to thank the Hajis for being so tolerant. Surely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you in abundance. I want to thank all the volunteers of SAHUC, Brother Ahmed from Par Excellence, the Sulaiman Nana Memorial Center, all those that have worked behind the scenes to make this a reality. And we conclude with the dua. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyyana wa Mawlana Muhammad wa barik wa sallim. Allahumma anta salam wa minka salam. حينا ربنا بالسلام ودخلنا دار السلام تباركت ربنا وتعاليت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام اللهم ثبتنا على الإيمان ومتنا على الإيمان واحشرنا يوم القيامة مع الإيمان بحرمة القرآن وبحرمة النبي آخر الزمان اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان وجعلنا من الراشدين وجعلنا من المتقين وجعلنا من الصالحين قال الله تعالى في شان حبيب إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم بفضل سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Jazakallah. We thank ITV and we thank all the viewers of YouTube also. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Anybody wants to ask any questions or clarity, Shaheen and the members are here. Please talk to them while they are here, please. And there are operators who are here, the 4 accredited operators. Go and speak to them regarding your packages. Jazakallah khairul jazak.